Hello and welcome back to Scambling Cafe. My name is Jamie and welcome to another Fireside chat. And in this video I'm going to continue the series where I discuss some of the manufacturers and what I think they should do, and it fits neatly into their range. So as before, we all have our kind of pet subjects that we'd love to see kitted, and we'd have our favourite manufacturers maybe that we'd like those particular manufacturers to make our favourite kits that are missing from the ranges. This video, sorry, that's my speaker just turning itself off. This video is slightly different. So like the old one, it's not necessarily my favourite subjects that are missing and I'd like these manufacturers to do them. I think these manufacturers would really like, these subjects would really fit well within their ranges. It's kind of up their boulevard, as it were. There is going to be a little bit of overlap with what I just described, because there are some of these kits in this list that I would love to see done, and especially by these manufacturers. But it's a little bit wider than that, if you kind of get what I'm on about. Right, so with that in mind, let's go down the list. So I've written it down. Excuse the natty glasses. Actually, I can read that without those. So even though they make me look intelligent and distinguished more than I certainly am, I'll dispense with those. The manufacturers I'm going to deal with today are ICM, Zoukei-Mura, Kinetic, Great Wall Hobby, and Academy. I picked 2 models for each manufacturer. Apart from Kinetic, I've only come up with 1 for them, and we'll discuss that later. I actually found this more difficult than last time. Last time, well, I think was relatively easy. It was arguably my 5 favourite manufacturers, and there were some obvious ones in there that fitted quite neatly within their ranges, and literally within a few days of me releasing that video, one of them, Arm Hobby, the P39 in 72nd scale, came true. Who'd have thought? Let's see with my crystal ball if any of these are going to come true. I really hope so. Right, in the order then I just announced them, it's just the order that I came up with it, no other reason other than that. ICM, so 2 models. The first one, so they're both in 48 scale. The first one is the F7F Tiger Cat, which I think modelers are screaming out for a brand new one of those. The other ones are all old and tired and inaccurate and take an awful lot of work, but look nice in the end. But ICM have a knack for sort of twin-engined World War II aeroplanes. Maybe the sort of edging towards the more, dare I say it, obscure. There goes my phone. I should really turn that off, shouldn't I? I'll put it in another room, as well as the speaker. But the Tiger Cat is such a beautiful aeroplane, and we've been kind of really badly done by consumers. And ICM, as I said, they've got a kind of knack for doing 48 scale twin-engined aeroplanes. As I'm recording this, the Beaufort has just come out. Wouldn't it be lovely to see a new tooled Beaufighter as well? Even though the Tamu one, it's very nice, but it is very basic. The Key 21 Sally's been announced. That should be coming, if not late this year, early next year, hopefully. And they do the Invaders, the B-26s. So they've got a penchant, shall we say, for 48 scale World War II, or okay, the Tiger Cat's not quite World War II, but you know what I mean. Aeroplanes. So it would really fit neatly in there, and they do a really, really good job of it as well. On the face of it, you think, well, it's quite a simple aeroplane, isn't it? Just fuselage, wings, 2 engines, tail, done. But tricycle undercarriage, it's going to need a lot of nose weight, so it'd be really nice to see a white metal lump that would fit in the nose. That would be quite handy. but the detail that they would put in, certainly in the cockpits and the engines and things like that, would be absolutely awesome. So come on, ICM. It's sadly missing from your range. Let's do it. Right, this one. 48 scale again. Same part of the Venn diagram. And this really is a little bit of a plea, because this is one of my favourites. And it is the Hampton. Again. In the other video, Airfix, 72nd scale, Hamden. That would be great. It would be nice if Airfix did it in 48th scale as well. But I just feel that ICM would arguably do a better job. But I think in 48 scale, it may fit more neatly into their range of twin-engined World War II aeroplanes than Airfix's. I think it's a little bit more obscure for ICM. I can't see it ever happening. I'd be delighted if it did. What kind of spurred me in this was the Beaufort and the Sally. Two kits that I don't think anyone really saw coming from ICM. And I really think that they do a fantastic job in any kit they touch, frankly. But again, it would fit neatly in their range, I suspect. It's a funky looking thing, isn't it, the Hampden? I think it looks quite cool from the side on, and I think from front or tail on, it looks frankly ridiculous because it's so narrow. But it's right up their boulevard, to use that phrase again. There's not a great deal I can say, really, other than, come on ICM, let's have a Hampden, and let's have a Tiger Cat, please. Right, next one. On to the jets. Zoukei-Mura. I've not built a Zoukei-Mura kit. I have one just down there behind the camera in the cupboard. That is going to be built on the channel very soon. I need to get the current project done, the Antonov 2 Colt. Need to get that wrapped up. Then I'm going to smash out a quick armour hobby kit. Hopefully the P39, if not the Key 84. And then it's going to be into the Zoukei-Mura F4C Phantom that I'm going to do as Robin Oldsey's aeroplane. From what I've seen, their Phantoms are lovely. Yes, there was an issue around the rear haunches by the exhausts of the earlier releases, and the C probably has that. Now I couldn't really see it until someone pointed it out, and even then, I still can't really see it. I don't really know what they're on about. But to those in the know, they think it's quite obvious. But for me, yeah, I can't really see it. But the later models, they fixed the issue, which bodes well for this one, because I've gone for the British Phantom, the FG1 and the FGR2. In American parlance, the F4K / or the M. And they could easily get both out the same moulds, I would wager. There is obviously the Hasegawa kit out there, which is a fine kit, but it is of its time. It is getting a little bit long in the tooth, a little bit dated. It does need quite a bit of aftermarket, if I'm honest, thrown at it to bring it up to modern standards. Apologies if you can hear some scraping noises. That's upstairs, tiled floor, and they're cleaning it out ready for the new guy. And it's been driving me up the pole all week. So sorry if the camera's picking that up. Right. A new tooled British Phantom in 48th is sadly lacking. Actually, in 72nd, we could do with the new one as well. And I'd love it if fine molds did that. Outside the scope of this video, it would fit neatly in their range. They're sort of doing as I film this, the F4G is coming, and I may get to build one of those next year, if not the Great Wall Hobby Kit. Clearly, I love the British Phantom, being a British bloke, and there's all sorts of different schemes I'd love to do that in. Not least the Royal Navy one, obviously, for the FG1. I do like the wraparound camouflage as well, and I do like the grey camouflage. I'd love to see a neutral British Phantom from Zoukei-Mura. That would be lush, as we say in Bristol. That's where I grew up, just outside in a little town called Nailsea. So yeah, again, it's kind of an extension from all the other variants they've done. I don't think actually they do the B, but then are they going to do the B now because Tamiya have done that? Who knows? Man alive, wouldn't a Tamiya British Phantom be lovely? Can't ever see it happening though. So there we go. That's my first Zoukei-Mura kit, the 48 scale British Phantom. Right, upping it now, 1/32 scale. Zoukei-Mura have done in 32nd scale. They've done the Henschel 129. They've done the Key 45 Toryu. Therefore, they've done smaller twin engine aeroplanes. So kind of an extension of ICM here. I did write down the PE2 because they've done, like I say, they've done a smaller Japanese twin engine aeroplane. They've done a smaller German aeroplane in 32nd scale. So I thought, well, a Soviet one, the PE2, that's kind of obvious. That would be great. However, I changed my mind and I've crossed it out. And I've written in there instead, and the non-Brits are going to start screaming, I'm sure, Blenheim. It was a kind of toss-up between the two. And like I say, it was so close to go for the PE2 in 32nd. That would be amazing to see. But the Blenheim, I think, may have more appeal. Now, maybe I'm biased because I'm British. But I think they get more out the moulds with the earlier short nose and then the later longer nose for a start. I don't know much about the PE2. I nearly said there, more camouflage schemes for the Blenheim. But actually, maybe I'm not so sure on that. I don't know. I think I might be right, but I don't know the PE2 and the colour schemes that well. I mean, arguably, I could throw both in here and go for 3. But I was really harsh on myself and cut it down just to 1. So I went for the Blenheim. The detail that they would shoehorn in, especially in the cockpit with all that glass, I think would be fantastic. They would no doubt over-engineer it, but again, it's horses for courses, isn't it? Personally, for example, for the Sky Raider, given a Zoukei-Mura Sky Raider and the Trumpeter Sky Raider, I'm going Trumpeter all day, every day, because I know I'm going to have an easier build of it, even though the detail, arguably, engine, cockpit and wheel wells and where it matters, would be better in the Zoukei-Mura kit. I'm all about simplicity for me, and I'm all about easier builds. But I can't see anyone else doing a 32nd scale Blenheim other than Zoukei-Mura. If they did do it, I really hope they dispense with doing some of the wing spars and then the panels over the top and just overcomplicating it. For me, that's just a bit of a pain in the bum. Let's hope if they ever did one, it would be nice, straightforward. Couple of wing spars to help set the dihedral, top and bottom wings, separate ailerons, hopefully flaps as well. Easy. Again, I think it would fit, well, the title of the sort of premise of the video, it would fit really nicely in the range, as with the PE2, but I'm just going to go for the Blenheim. That is Zoukei-Mura. Right, on to Kinetic now, and I've only gone for one aeroplane here. I found this really difficult, if I'm honest. Now, Kinetic, they started off with the F-16. It had a droopy nose. It didn't go together brilliantly. There are better ones on the market. They're retooling it as I speak. And very shortly, we're going to see the first in a range of 48 scale F-16s from Kinetic. Their F-104s are apparently really very nice. And I really want to do one of those one day. In fact, I'm going to do it as a what if. No plot spoilers here. Then I thought about all the other F-series aeroplanes that they could do. The F-15s, kind of covered by Great Wall Hobby, if I'm honest. A-10, we've got 2 new ones coming out from Great Wall Hobby and Academy. So it was no to that. F-14s, there's been a plethora of F-14s. Great Wall Hobby again, AMK, Tamiya. Would they go down the F-14 route? In fact, no, why would they? They're all covered. So I really started to struggle. Could they go for something really obscure? Yes, they could. However, the aeroplane I've gone for in 48 scale is F-100. Trumpeter do a series of F-100s. The C, the D, the 2-seat F. I've built the 2-seat F. It's a very nice kit. It's a bit bland in places with detail-wise, and the nose is glaringly in error. In all 3 scales that they do, 72nd, 48th and 32nd, for some reason, they did it's a symmetrical oval shape and they flattened off the bottom. It's a right pain in the arse, frankly. I got round that on the 48 scale kit by I scratch built a FOD cover for the nose that was the right shape and whacked that over the top, which goes some way to kind of draw the eye off the error. I have the 32nd scale one in the stash, and I have the Zacto Models nose correction set for it. That will be built. I keep saying that. I've had it in the stash for 10 years or whatever. It will get done. But I think the F-100 would sit nicely in the Kinetic range. They've done the 104, and so they're not shy of updating an older kit. Obviously, the Hasegawa 104 is a nice kit, but it's typical of 90s Hasegawa. The detail is a little bit bland. There's some really heavy rivets down the rear fuselage and on the wings that all need to be dealt with. And they updated it, and they did a really, really good job with the 104. Like I say, the Trumpeter kits are nice kits, but they had their issues, accuracy-wise and detail-wise in certain areas. I'd love to see a new tool F-100 in 48 scale, a C and a D, even the 2-seater, although I'm a much bigger fan of the single seat. And I think it would be great, frankly. So, Kinetic Gold Series F-100, yes please, would fit nicely in the range. That's my choice for that. And I kind of really had to think and came up with 1 or 2 other kits that actually I decided to put in different manufacturers, which is why I've only gone for 1. Right, the next company, Great Wall Hobby, I've gone for. I love Great Wall Hobby. I've done a couple of their MiG-29s, the early one, the 9-12, so the Fulcrum A, and the later one with the big hump that I can't remember the designation of off the top of my head. But I did both of those and they're lovely kits. And with just a little bit of photo etch here and there, just to sort of tart up the cockpit a bit, they are absolutely stunning. In fact, the later version, the MiG-29, I did straight from the box. I've gone for a 72nd scale kit and a 48 scale kit. The 72nd one, dealing with that first, I've gone for the Su-25. Frogfoot. I had a brain fart then. I couldn't remember the NATO code name. So the Frogfoot. Now Zvezda has obviously done the 48 scale one, and I would much rather have seen Great Wall Hobby do the 48 scale one. It would be more expensive. I think it might be slightly better detailed. And obviously politically at the moment, a Russian manufacturer, if I'm brutally honest, I mean, I'm taping this in October 2022. The war in Ukraine is still raging, and I don't feel I'm ready to start buying Russian manufactured modelling kits and supplies and blah at the moment. So yes, I hear it's a really, really nice kit. But for me, it's kind of off the table at the moment. I'd love to see Great Wall Hobby do a 48 scale MiG-25, but I forced myself to keep it to 2 kits. So, sorry, it's chit chat outside the window now. So, a 72nd Su-25. We are sadly lacking a modern tooled Su-25. It'd be nice to see one from Trumpeter, actually. I think they do a really good job of it. I'd hope they wouldn't do the rivets in their usual style. Tend to be a little bit heavy. I think Great Wall Hobby would do a beautiful job of it. It would be fairly expensive, but I think sometimes quality is worth paying for, frankly. And it would be a beautiful kit. And Great Wall Hobby, they've recently, as I said, October 2022, they've recently announced a new tool A10 in 48th and an F14 in 48th, the F14B, which will be spectacular, I'm sure. But they do nice 72nd scale stuff. Their F14s are beautiful, which is why I plumped for the Su-25 for them. So I'd love to see that. Like I said, I'd love to see in 48th as well. But in 48th, this is a good segue. In 48 scale, I'd like to see them do a MiG-23. It would go really well with alongside the flankers that they've done and the floggers. Sorry, a flogger. This is a flogger. A fulcrum. So a flogger in 48th would be brilliant. Like I say, it would be expensive, I know, but quality is worth paying for. Again, I have the Trumpeter kit, which is a nice kit. It's fairly well detailed, but I've ended up buying a whole load of aftermarket for it to bring it up, to bring the level of detail up. And it is one of that older kits. The undercarriage can be a little bit of a challenge, surmountable, but takes effort. I just think Great Wall Hobby, it would go great in their range. It really would. Do you know what? Off the top of my head, I've just thought of another Kinetic kit. So excuse me while I just write that down, and I will return it. For some reason, it's just popped into my Swede. Yeah, I think they just do a beautiful job of that. Like I say, it would be expensive, but would fit really neatly in the range. So there we go. Great Wall Hobby, 72nd Su-25 Frogfoot and a 48 scale MiG-23 flogger. Right, I'm going to jump back to Kinetic right now and just mention what I just mentioned. Just mention what I just mentioned. Just mention what I just wrote down. And that is 48 scale. And I'm going to say Tornado. I am a bit biased for obvious reasons. I flew the F3 back in the day, 20 odd years ago. The Revell kit is really nice when it's finished, but it's a pig to go together. It's a real challenge. The Trumpeter, the Hobby Boss kits go together well, but have some glaring accuracy issues. They tend to cock up British subjects, and it's really irritating. Issues with the contours on the nose, the canopy, the intakes, just really annoying. The main reason why I haven't built one is the blood, sweat, tears and toil that I have to put in to build a Revell Tornado. It, for me, doesn't pass the cost-benefit analysis. But a Kinetic Tornado would be brilliant. Again, I think if it's nicely in their range of, it will be a very popular subject, especially in Europe. Arguably less so out in the Far East, where they're from. I'd love it if they did the F3 first, and I would bite their hand off and definitely do one of that as an F3. So please, Kinetic, give us a Tornado F3, and then one of the targets for for that lot who like that sort of thing. Right, I'm glad I thought of that, because that feels a nice little get. That's 2 of each now. Right, and the last manufacturer is Academy. Again, one of my favourite manufacturers. I built their F4B, which I thought was beautiful. Did that in the US Marine Corps scheme, and it was a lovely kit, and it came out really well. I've gone for a 48 scale kit and a 72nd scale kit. The 48 scale kit, I've gone for the F105. Now, I nearly put this in the Kinetic list, but I thought I'd share the love of the Century series. Yes, Trumpeter do one. It's an alright kit. It's typical Trumpeter. Fairly old now. It's getting long in the tooth. A new tool would be lovely, and if Academy did it, it would be lovely. It would be fantastic if they could supply it with some brass undercarriage, but let's hope some aftermarket manufacturer would come up with that. Ali from Aerocraft, I'm looking at you, mate. Yeah, new tool F105 by Academy. I think they just do a fantastic job of that. It would be well detailed. It would go well together. You've got the 2 sort of schemes, or well, 3 sorts of schemes really they could get out of it. The earlier natural metal ones, obviously the Vietnam one, and then the later Air National Guard ones. Lots of different variants, single seaters, 2-seaters. So they could get lots out of the moulds, and I think they do a cracking job. Right, 72nd scale. Now I wrap my brains, this particular aeroplane. There's lots of manufacturers that could do a really good job of this, but I stuck it in Academies because, again, their sort of track record, and that is the A10. A 72nd A10, modern, state-of-the-art tooling. Again, I think there's a big gap in the market for that. They're tooling it in 48th. They could very easily shrink it down to 72nd. It would be great for Great Wall Hobby to do the same. But again, I try to restrict it to 2 to each manufacturer. Again, I think the detail would be great. I'd hope that they'd make it sort of a step away from the sort of snap type sort of tooling that they did for the F4J. And I note that we still only have the F4J from Academy, and they haven't gone down any other route. For example, you just get the one-piece canopy. Why they didn't give us a posable canopy in that 72nd scale kit, I don't know, because it really could do with it. Yeah. It would be great. But I think there's a gap in the market, and I think the A10 would slot very neatly into their range. I really do. And the amount of weapons that they could slap on that thing, I think that would be really popular, and I think that would do really well for them. Let's see how they get on with the 48th one though first. That's it. I've kind of got to the end. Right, let's just have a little bit of a summary then. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. The SD card filled up, so I had to go and do a quick change. Right, summary then. I can't remember exactly where I was when the card ran out. So let's start the summary again. ICM 48 scale F7F Tiger Cat, sadly lacking across the manufacturers. 148 scale Hampton fits nicely in the subject of the video. Don't know why I said that. Let's move on. Zoukei-Mura 48 scale British Phantom FG1 FGR2 or K&M, however you want to say it, and 32nd scale Blenheim. Wouldn't that be nice? Kinetic 48 scale F100 to replace the Trumpeter F100, and the Tornado F3 first, and then some of those target things. Right, just a quick note on that actually. When we used to go up against them, they used to stay together as a pair and then die together as a pair. hashtag clubbing baby seals. That's what we used to call it. Right, Great Wall Hobby, 72nd scale SU-25 Frogfoot, and the 48 scale MiG-23, and finishing off with Academy 148 scale F-105 Thunder Chief, and in 72nd scale a new tool A10, because I think, yeah, we really need one of those as well out there, and I think they do arguably a fantastic job. Right, there we go. That was actually a lot of fun, but actually really quite difficult, coming up with 2 each. And yeah, especially Kinetic. I really struggled with that. Interesting. It would be interesting to hear your thoughts on what you reckon. I will say, please, rather than just your favourite aeroplane and just throw it out there, do what I've done and have a think about that particular manufacturer, what they're renowned for, and what they do a really good job that would fit neatly in the range and would sell. I know that's difficult. We all have our pet projects, our pet subjects, our favourite manufacturers, and it's easy just to throw them together and whack in something obscure. You know, classic obviously for me, 1/24 scale Tucano by Airfix. It's never ever going to happen. Try, like I say, try and do what I've done. Put your sensible hat on, and you know, if it's something really obscure, go to a manufacturer, you know, a resin manufacturer or a limited run manufacturer, and throw it at them that would fit neatly in their range. They kind of happened. It sounds like a bit of a moan. I cherish every single message. I think it's fantastic that, you know, those that take the time to write a message and a response, and we have a chat about it. I think it's fantastic, and I don't want to dissuade anyone from doing that. Far from it. The more the merrier. But, you know, for example, if you pick a subject that would fit more neatly into Edward or Airfix or Tamiya or someone else, don't stick it into one of these. Just have a think about these manufacturers, rack your brains, and think what would fit neatly into their range that is missing. Feel free to put in an older kit that could be re-kitted by one of these manufacturers. Clearly I've done that in quite a few things, you know, the Tiger Cat, the British Phantom, the F100, the 48 scale MiG-23. For example, an older kit that these companies could spruce up and do a really good job if they started from scratch. That would be grand. But for example, I don't think there's any point saying, for example, Zoukei-Mura doing the F4B. Well, because we got the Tamiya one and it's absolutely brilliant. Yes, I know Zoukei-Mura don't make any money from Tamiya F4B. That's a bit of a cliche, but it also happens to be true. I totally get that. But I think you understand the point I'm trying to get across. Right, we'll leave it at there. Yeah, whack your comment in there below. It would be fantastic. Let's have a chat and a discussion. And we'll either agree or disagree. It would be great either way. Right, I'm going to go and wrap my brains and trying to think of some more manufacturers and do another one of these. And it's getting harder and harder and harder. And I've only done 2. Oh my days. Perhaps I won't do so many manufacturers next time. Maybe I'll only do 3 or something. If there's a manufacturer I've not covered so far, again, whack your suggestions down below, and I'll consider it for the next one. There we are. So I will see you on the next one. This has been fun. Bye-bye.